This tutorial is going to cover the SFFMA Portal Matrix, Certification Matrix. The Matrix is just an excellent tool for being able to gain an overall picture for an administrator for where their department members are in terms of all of the components that need to be satisfied toward particular certifications. Whereas the training objectives report, which was covered in a different tutorial, covers specifically the objectives that need to be met as part of the training program. The matrix is more of a big picture that can be displayed for the administrator. And so we're going to go ahead and open the matrix, and we're going to run a report in the matrix so that you can see what that looks like. When you pull the matrix page up, you're going to first select the certification you want to see. In our case, we'll go ahead and use driver operator pumper certification, and we are looking at the Tidewater VFD as our example here. We want to see everyone in the department. We want to get a picture of everybody in the department, so we're going to select all the individuals on the roster. The report doesn't include individuals who are already certified, who already hold the certification. It defaults to not showing those. If for some reason you wanted to see it, you could click that to see them as well. And we'll go ahead and generate the report. And here you now have that overall picture that you need for driver operator pumper certification for all of your people. These are the components that may need to be met in order to gain the certification. So starting in the first column, obviously SFFMA membership is required in order to participate in the certification program to gain a certification. This also shows training, the training required, and where each individual is in terms of their percentage of training completed. In the case of driver operator pumper, there isn't, as of this video, there isn't a test, so that shows as NA. Courage to be safe is, of course, it's required for to obtain any SFFMA certification, and so that's going to be a requirement here as well. Driver operator pumper doesn't have any prerequisite courses or certifications that need to be met, so that's also an NA. A prerequisite might be, for instance, in the case of hazmat operations, a prerequisite or a required certification in order to obtain hazmat operations would be hazmat awareness. And so in that case, there might be one here, or that would be there. And then it also shows whether the individual is eligible at this time for certification. If these are not all met, it'll show as not eligible. We can see that John Smith in this case has completed all the requirements and it is available. If I click that, it will actually take me over to the certification eligibility screen where I can go ahead and select it and pay for that certification, and it'll issue immediately. With each of these, it has the X. If I click on that, it gives me a little bit of information that I may need to know. So again, the training's not complete for this individual. If you're wanting to see what still needs to be done, this is where you would use that training objective report. And you can again get to that off of either the dashboard, or you can go directly to it by clicking here. If new training is recorded, needs to be recorded, then you would go to the training hub, again from the dashboard, or you can click and go directly to it from here as well. And the courage to be safe, same way. If you click one of the X's there, it reminds you that it's required for every certification. If someone has completed courage to be safe and you need to record that, you would go to the training hub. You're going to use the external training feature, and you're going to look at required courses, or you can click here and go directly to it and record the training there. Again, keep in mind that with any training that you're adding, the department coordinator does need to go in and approve the training before it's going to show up in the record. In this particular case, again, driver operator doesn't have a written or skills test. In just a moment, I'll pull up an example of one that does, and you can see what that looks like as well. For this example, I've pulled up a matrix for hazardous materials awareness. So this is one of the certifications that would require a test, so that you can now see what that would look like, the various icons that might be associated with that. Beginning, of course, with someone who has not completed training yet, you'll see that there are X's there, so they're not ready to take their test yet until this reaches 100%. For James here at the top, you can see it has a yellow triangular icon. If you click on that, it lets you know that there's something that needs to be taken care of before they can be scheduled for their testing. And if you were to click here or go back to the dashboard and click written test eligibility, it would take you back to that testing eligibility screen, and in all likelihood what needs to be done here is that the fee needs to be paid before the test can be scheduled. For this icon here, if you click that, you'll see that this individual is now scheduled to test. SFFMA staff has scheduled them to test. That icon could indicate either it's waiting to be scheduled or they've been waitlisted for a particular location, or they have been scheduled. In this case, he's been scheduled for the test. And finally, this last one, a recent policy change that was made by the certification board for the association now requires that certification occur. Someone needs to complete and obtain certification within 2 years following the date of their exam. Exam grades are good for 2 years following the date of the exam. In this case, this icon indicates that the test is expired and can no longer be used toward certification. If we were to click here, it would take you back over to the coordinator hub, and you could then reschedule the individual for testing. Keep in mind there will be a fee associated with that test again, and they can get scheduled back up again. Okay, the last matrix I've pulled up here is one where I wanted to show you what it looks like if you did have a prerequisite for that particular certification. So what we're looking at is hazmat operations in this case. And we can see that one of the prerequisite, or a prerequisite for this one, is hazmat awareness certification has to be held. And you'll notice now that it has a 0 of 1. There is a prerequisite. This individual has not met that prerequisite yet, and so that will allow the administrator to be aware of that too, in case they needed to meet that particular or be working toward that prerequisite certification first before obtaining this one. Okay, the last piece I wanted to show you for this tutorial has to do with the testing eligibility feature. When we were looking at the matrix for hazmat awareness, we were looking at those triangular symbols, and if you were to click one of those and then click the link, it would take you directly to the testing eligibility page. Again, we're back on the dashboard right now, and we'll just get to it from there. So up on the testing module, if I click eligibility, it allows me to view either written testing eligibility or skill testing eligibility for each of the people on my roster, or to see if they are eligible for one or both of those. We're going to, in this case, just go ahead and click written testing eligibility, and you'll notice that the 3 individuals that were in that matrix that showed as 100% completed training, they now appear here. which simply means that the fee, the processing fee needs to be paid in order for them to then be scheduled for testing. You can come in and just select each of those individuals. You notice it's added some items to the cart, payment cart. If I click that, I can go into the payment module and go ahead and pay for those fees. Once those are paid, these individuals will move to this third column where they're waiting to be scheduled, and that's where SFFMA staff will be notified in the system that they're waiting to be scheduled, and they can then work with either you as the administrator or the individuals to get scheduled up for testing. Once staff has scheduled them, they'll be moved to the fourth column and they'll be ready for testing. All right, that completes the tutorial for using the SFFMA portal matrix, certification matrix. Appreciate you watching, and as always, if you have any questions, in this case, go ahead and direct your email to certification@sffma.org, and we'll be happy to help you. Thanks again.